Hello from the Biltmore, where the Pat McAfee show is going on. Take a look. Casper rolling down the road, and okay, we've got some big news here. Jed York just spoke after Kyle Shanahan. We're going to hear from both of them on this show, but Jed is not ruling out the possibility of Brandon Aiyuk staying with and playing for the 49ers. This was a big curveball at the end of his interview, so have a listen here.
Both John and Kyle talked about Brandon Aiyuk and the frustration and trying to get him back into the fold. Where is your stance on what happened there?
I don't know. I mean, he got hurt after he got paid, and I hope he gets back healthy. Right? I think Bill Parcells said this, and I talked to Jalen and Kyle about this. Like, our job is to build a culture, and our job is to make sure that we bring talent into the building. Like, BA is a very talented guy. Would love to be able to bring him back into the fold, and if not, I think he's a valuable asset that other people would want, and we're going to make sure that we get value and we bring talent into our building.
Do you think there's a possibility where he stays?
Like, last question, like, what didn't you get?
Yeah, you can look at curve.
Well, you said something so intriguing.
It was super intriguing. I'm a very intriguing guy.
But, I mean, you seem to open the door for at least a possibility of him actually staying with the team. Is that possible?
I mean, I think anything's possible, right? We want to make sure that we have as talented of a roster as possible. First and foremost, he needs to get healthy and be able to perform. I think once that happens, he's a really, really good football player.
Is he healthy right now?
I haven't seen him. I have no idea.
Appreciate it, guys.
Just say it helps your trade leverage, saying that you want to keep him.
I don't think it helps you trade leverage. It's just he's a good football player. Like, we paid him. I think we've paid him more millions of dollars in snaps that he's had, right? Like, I would like to see him play for us. Like, we paid him for a reason. Like, I think he's a really good football player. And when you look at the group of people that is there, right, especially adding guys like Mike and Christian, who are legit veteran people, right, that's a room that can absorb somebody that has had a tough go with our franchise for the last year or so. So again, like, I think we're making sure that room is what it needs to be. And if BA is a part of that room, like, we're going to be more talented, and I have no problem with that. I hope he's doing well personally, and I hope I get to see him too.
And it wasn't that long ago that I reminded you guys of the weirdness surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo in the 2022 offseason and training camp. 49ers thought they were going to trade him, but they for sure did not want to let an asset out of the building for no return. Garoppolo was playing catch with himself on the side field during training camp, and before you knew it, he was again starting for the 49ers at quarterback. I think this Brandon Aiyuk situation would be even more wild than that one, but you can't discount the possibility, according to Jed York. And the 49ers, I think the main point here is that they won't let him go for nothing, at least until they have to. And that option bonus of $25 million does not trigger until September 1st. So the 49ers can afford to take their time here. And as Jed York said, they can also afford to absorb somebody into the receiving room who's had trouble with the franchise over the course of the last year plus, because now you've got Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, two veterans in that room. Anyway, a lot to unpack. We will see how this unfolds. Here's more of Jed York, followed by Kyle Shanahan. Apologies regarding some of the audio with Kyle Shanahan. The wireless mic was acting up, but for most of the session, it is listenable, and hopefully you get some good intel here from Phoenix.
I did. I mean, it was a cool group of guys to hang around. I think I'd enjoy it more the second time. I was a little out of my element, so like I probably had some anxiety about it, a little more than usual, because I didn't know what to do. And the hardest thing was they kept asking questions, and I want to answer them, but I'm like, man, I still work in this league. I have to play against these people, and that was the hardest thing for me. I couldn't just talk. Because you have to be somewhat strategic and you want to say something that actually makes sense, but you don't want to say something that helps anybody. So that was my biggest stress through it all.
Are you aware where you are, Kyle, as far as tenure with the 49ers and Bill Washington seasons? Are you aware that where you stack up in 49ers history?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Would it surprise you? Would it surprise you to learn that after this season, you and Bill Walsh, longest tenured coaches in 49ers history?
I knew I was getting up there. Mariucci's ahead of me, right?
No, you passed it.
I am? Oh, well,
Congratulations.
hopefully I'll make it past this year.
Hey, what did you learn about the flag football game and just the way, the elements of it?
I learned that it's not what I expected. I thought I was going to like a 7-on-7 tournament, and then when I turned on that tape and watched the USA team, I knew we were in trouble, big time. It's we'd have to be much more strategic if you're going to do that and compete with those guys. It's a game that you need to draft all corners and receivers and little corners and receivers. The way the field's built, the way it is, it's not the quarterback. The throwing element not as crucial with how small the field is, and the running element. It's a totally different game, but it's something we could be good at. But we can't just show up and do it. We'd have to really work at it.
Was it fun?
It was. I mean, you never like showing up and realizing you're walking into a situation you're going to get embarrassed in. You don't want to go out there and lose, and we kind of had a feeling we were. But I enjoyed the week. It was cool to be around a lot of those athletes, some that I didn't know before. It was put on awesome. Like just the dinners, the parties, the hotel and everything. It was done first class, and something it was cool to be invited to.
Kyle, you're talking
Any concern having Juszczyk out there playing?
Yes, but there's something about Kyle that he's just under control, always in shape, always conditioned right, that like out of any player I've ever been around, like Kyle would have been probably the one I'd be the least concerned with. But I definitely was worried at sometimes in the game when guys are going too hard, and we have YouTubers going against a $55 million a year quarterback, and I'm like, dude, you got to chill a little bit. This is not worth it. But it's I definitely would have handled it differently if Brock was there, probably.
What made you want to add Matt Eberflus to the staff, and what role do you kind of envision for him?
I mean, similar to what Gus did last year. I think when you're on the defensive side of ball, I love having a guy there who's called plays, who's built defenses before. Because it's really important as a play caller, as a guy doing the scheme, that you have other people who've been through it to bounce things off of. You got position coaches always, but position coaches kind of get so in their world of what their position's doing, and they can't step back and see the big thing. It's like me on offense, with like Clay and I, we use our QCs and stuff. We use guys who aren't always locked into a position to help us with game plans and things like that. And when you can get a guy like that, I think it's important for Raheem, because if you don't, then he's asking offensive guys stuff a lot, and we're just not always in the same position during the season where we can help each other.
When you had Wilkes, I remember you had he didn't know the scheme, and there was a lot of learning. Is that part of it too? Of I know you'd like to have Raheem for a while, but at least having an option of a fallback of someone who's been around and knows what you're trying to do. Is that just a bonus to it? Or?
Yeah, when you've been somewhere for 10 years, it's so nice that people know the history of what your scheme is, the history of what you've gone through with your players. And that's why I always try to hire with him. I like doing that on offense. I like doing that on defense. But just like we talk about free agency, I mean, we'd also love to always get young, healthy guys. But you got to do what the best option is. And when Raheem became available, I thought that was the best option for us. And I was just pumped that it worked for him and his wife, and that we got him out to our area.
You've talked in the past a lot about Julio, and not even just on the field, but he didn't bitch about, hey, where's the ball? Is in some ways, from what you know of Mike Evans, he's similar as far as kind of a low maintenance star wide receiver.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Julio didn't ever bitch about not getting the ball, but there also wasn't ever one time that we didn't get him the ball. so I don't know how that would have gone if we didn't. But I have a feeling Mike's the same way. I mean, those guys who are that way, I mean, it's okay if it's for the right reasons. I mean, when guys do it ridiculously and they know they're just acting up for attention or throwing a temper tantrum for no reason, those guys can be tough to deal with. But when guys know what's going on and they need the ball because they know they can help you win and they know how it works, you don't mind that at all. I'm pissed off when a guy doesn't get the ball that you need to get the ball to. It's harder in the receiver world because there are coverages that can take it away. I always try to tell the wideouts, there's only one person I can guarantee I can get the ball to, and that's if we hand it off to you. And not all wideouts want that ball handed off to them and run between the tackles. So if you're not throwing the screen, things can take stuff away. But the more you balance out your offense, you try to make it impossible for someone to double team a guy. And you usually say, just chill out, it's going to come. I've had so many guys that think that they're not going to be a part of it, and then the fourth quarter comes, and all of a sudden the defense changes, and then they get all their stats in the fourth, and they're the reason that you win the game.
What makes Mike LaFleur unique as
We'll see.
Offensive coach.
I mean, I've had a couple of these guys, and Mike's right there with all those dudes in terms of he's very smart. He knows the game. There's lots of coaches who can do some good stuff, but you always know guys in your building who see it a little bit better than most people, and Mike's one of those guys.
You did some hard coaching, some tough coaching with Renardo in that final game. What's the message for him to apply to get closer to his potential this season?
To keep going at it and to never be satisfied with where you're at. I mean, when I get on a guy, I know it can sound weird, but I'm always upset if someone's not playing as the best they possibly can. And I believe so much in Renardo, just the type of guy he is, the talent he is. He's a dude I loved coming out of college. I loved him in his rookie year, and I loved him here. But when a guy doesn't do his best, which happens a lot, and I react the way I did, and that was I took him out for a play because I thought he messed up on a coverage, and I wanted to challenge him to go back in and do it better. And sometimes that can get competitive, but it's the one thing I always try to tell these guys and the people who've been around me, like, if I'm getting on someone and challenging someone, it's because I really believe in them, and I'm upset that they're not getting the fullest at any given time. And I believe Renardo can be a very good player. I think he will be a very good player. I think he's done some good things. And where you are in trouble is if I'm never challenging you and I'm never getting on you, because it really shows I don't believe you can do any better. I think Renardo has done some really good things. He's played at starter level, and I got much higher expectations for him than that.
You had Osa in the offseason. How much of a problem last year was not having interior push, and how much can he be a solution for you?
It was a big problem. No, I mean, it was tough. I mean, that's why I was so, after free agency last year, with how many guys we lost, I mean, that was the most nervous I've gone into a draft, because I knew we had, whether they were there or not, I knew these guys were going to play and most likely start for us. And so it was cool to get some guys, to get CJ West, to get to Alfred. Like, those guys played really well, but we did have to add, just like I said, in the receiver room, some men to it, some guys who've done it before, have a little bit more depth. And getting a starting NFL 3 technique was one of our number one goals going into this offseason.
Kyle Christian's your number one for sure, but what did Isaac Rendo and Jordan James need to do to get better and get on the field?
Well, one, we need to do that a lot more. I mean, Christian had an unbelievable year last year, but he definitely needs help. And Jordan James came on really strong at the end of last year, but he missed so much in the beginning. He kind of just missed his window to pass some other people up. I wish I would have got him on the field more than I did. He got him on there for Seattle at the end, but he needs to take that next step. Hopefully they can have a healthy offseason. We do need some better runners going to help Christian out. I think Jordan James did show that. Isaac has shown us that he can be very good in the pass game. You guys saw his rookie year that he is a good runner. We're not a big 3-man rotation team, so you got to really be that 1 or 2 guy to get in there. If you are that 3rd guy, there's a chance that someone gets hurt. But if not, you better be helping us out on special teams.
This is the first time I've heard you say that about getting more guys involved. What's changed?
I think I said it a little bit last year. We just didn't do it. Nothing's really changed. It's just I know that I don't want Christian to have to take all of that. It was amazing that he did and was able to do that. And the best thing with Christian, the reason it's so hard to get Christian out is because of how much he affects everything in the pass game, even when he's not getting the ball. It's like having a receiver out there. If he plays certain coverages and just normal coverages and put a linebacker on Christian on 1st and 2nd down, that's going to be a problem. And so he pulls coverage that helps out everyone else. All the health issues we had with receivers last year, the guys in and out, but we're still able to be a top 5 passing team. I think that has to do with Christian being on the field. Now, we went into the year wanting to take care of him a little bit more, but the way the offense went, I think more with the receivers and the injuries we had, it was hard to get him off, and it's cool to have him out there because he did help our offense so much. But in order for us to be the running team we want to be, in order to have Christian be as good as he can be throughout the whole year, we've got to get someone helping.
Is it also a Bobby thing? Like he seems to always want to play the hot hand. The guy is doing well. He's reluctant to take him off the field. Is that something that he would have to change too, just his philosophy?
Yeah, it's all of us do. I mean, I will say the hardest thing last year is when you have a game plan in the pass game that's predicated around a running back, and your backup running back doesn't have that same skill set. There's times Bobby would take him off the field, and I'm calling something that is only for Christian, and then he's off the field, and I don't notice till I've already said it, and now my choice is to call a timeout, have somebody do something that they really aren't very good at, and then Bobby gets scarred from taking him out because he did it at the wrong time. So that's something we're always trying to work on. It's very tough. As a play caller, you're not like telling everyone, hey, next play I'm going to call this, and the play after it's very in the heated battle. And so Bobby's got to get a kind of feel for that with me and how I'm going. And when, even though Christian's not involved and we're calling a play for someone else, when someone affects the defense that much, it's very hard to get in that rhythm between me and the substitute.
That raises a question about Isaac Orendo, because he does do well in the passing game, but for some reason last summer he seemed to kind of fall down the pecking order a little bit. I mean, is that the right read, and why not have him, because of the way he has some similarities to Christian, you would have that 1-2 capability?
He just wasn't our second best runner last year, and Isaac got his opportunities his rookie year when people got hurt, and he did very good with those opportunities. And this was the first year that I can remember coaching that not one of our running backs got hurt. You know, our starter was healthy the whole year, and Brian Robinson was healthy the whole year. The guy who got hurt was Jordan James. Got hurt throughout camp. I think it really is first practice with us till week 2, which put him way behind. I always thought Isaac was going to get that opportunity to where Christian's going to go out at some time in this game. It might be an injury, and then Isaac will come in and take over that game plan. But Christian was a warrior. He stayed healthy all year and just never came to fruition.
Sorry if you're asking this, but I'm asking you about your dad every year, and folks in Denver are clamoring for him to get that gold jacket. Obviously, with the Belichick thing, it might push him back. But where are you at with that, and where's he at?
I mean, he's at peace with that. I mean, I am to a degree. I think that we all know he's a Hall of Fame coach. There's a process of getting in. It can be tough because, I care about my dad obviously a ton, and I know how bad he deserves that. I also know there's some other coaches out there who deserve it too. So you just got to be patient with the process. I don't want to offend anybody because it is tough on how to get all those guys in, and it's only going to get harder the more guys that come. But I just look at it as a matter of time. We all know he's a Hall of Fame coach, and I hope sooner than later he gets to see that.
How happy were you to see Robert Saleh get another chance as the head coach, and how do you think he'll do it?
Not that happy. I didn't want to lose him. So, I was real happy for Robert. Robert deserves to be a head coach. He's one of the better coaches in this league. I thought he got a raw deal the first time, and it seems like he's in a good situation. We hated losing with the Niners, but I'm real happy for him and Shanahan. I know he's going to do a hell of a job in Tennessee.
What about Michael Flora? What did he bring to your team when you were building out your system in San Francisco, and what is he going to bring to Arizona?
Mike's a good dude who really knows football. So, I've had a couple of them, and he's right there as good as any of those guys. And I really wish these good coaches would get the hell out of our division, but they don't. They keep staying in our division, but you guys got a good one.
How to sneak back to Saleh real quick. You saw him before he got the head coach job at Africa. What are some of the things that are different from the first time around with his head coach?
I think just when you go through that stuff, when you go through these experiences, you change in a degree that you just understand it a little bit more. You become a lot more experienced. There's always ways you want to do something and ways you believe in, which really never changes. But when you get opportunities, you realize you can't always do it that exact way. You got to be able to adjust to the situation, always keep it moving, and every situation is different. It's going to always be like that.
Kyle, when a division rival wins the Super Bowl, does that change your approach?
No, it bothers you more. You got to deal with them twice, but anytime you got to play a team twice, you think about it a little more personnel-wise because you got to match up with them and things like that. But as far as winning the Super Bowl, no.
Just curious, how tired are you of being asked about electrical substations?
I don't get interviewed that much this time of year, so I haven't had it too much. But I know the science or whatever they've done kind of made that go away, and I think that's a good thing.
Speaking of Super Bowls, what stands out to you about Las Vegas as a host city? How was your experience? Maybe just logistically, or what stands out?
It really doesn't matter much when you're playing in a Super Bowl because you don't experience anything but going to the practice and staying in your hotel. But Vegas was just tough because the field that we got put on. We got put on a different field. just it's a different situation when one's at UNLV in the middle of the city and on the strip right next to the Sphere, and one's 30 minutes out at the Raiders facility. That was the hard thing for us, which you got to get lucky and be the home team, so you got to pick. But if there's a place that has two fields, that's what you prefer.
All right, guys.
First, congratulations to Nick. Tracy, am I allowed to say anything? You want to say something?
You can now.
Well, I want to say congratulations to Tracy and everything that she's done with Fangirl. Last season was her last year covering the 49ers full time. She's going to be focusing on Fangirl, and we will miss you.
Thank you.
But we are very happy for your success,
Thank you.
don't forget about us.
I want you still see.
Awesome.
I thought you were congratulating her on Michigan going to the Final Four.
No. He would never congratulate on that.
I mean,
that was a big man of you today.
We're on camera, so I'm not going to say what I want to say.
All right.
Jed,
Go for it.
some of your peers, when they get a poor grade in the NFLPA report card, seem to take offense. I mean, it's notable that you guys got some poor grades, and it seems like you've taken steps to address
Didn't we
that.
get an A-?
Well, I think
You sound like my dad.
I'm just talking about like training staff with C-, training facilities or something with C-, and you've made investments. I'm trying to give you a compliment.
I thought this was like a Dr. York, like A- is not.
No.
Look, we're always trying to get better, and I don't know that those are the most accurate things, but you always want to have an open dialogue with your players, and we're always going to make sure that we reinvest in the team, not just on the field but off the field. And I don't know, we're here to try to win championships, and I don't think you win championships by not investing in your team.
What was the impetus for making those changes?
I just have to get better all the time. You're always looking to get better. And we were laughing yesterday on the flight here. I was in London for some soccer games, and I saw your interview, Jen, with Kyle, and I was just looking up to see how the flag game went, and I'm like, why the hell is he talking about Christian Kirk? I'm like, is this like tampering? I had no idea that we signed Christian Kirk, right? But I trust these guys to go do the best things for our team. And if we're going to invest in our facilities, if we're going to invest in players, right, like they can't wait on me if I'm somewhere else to go do the things that we need to do to make sure that we're successful. And I always want to make sure that John and Kyle have the ability to go do whatever they need to do to make sure that our team can be successful.
What can you do to make the season opener more successful with the logistical challenges?
I don't know. I mean, it's just life in the NFL. Right? Like if you want to be a global brand and you want to expand your sport, you have to play games internationally. And everybody wants to expand, but no one wants to play the games. I'm happy to be able to represent the San Francisco 49ers, the National Football League, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in Mexico, or wherever else it is that we're going to be able to play. And at some point, you have to play whoever's on your schedule where they tell you to play. That's just how it works.
Is the league going to give you guys bigger planes or something like that? Was Goodell alluding to something like there's going to be better travel accommodations or something?
I don't know. I mean,
is that on you or the league, I guess, is what I'm asking.
You're asking the wrong person. Like, no matter what, like we're going to make sure that we have the right planes and we take care of our players and we have everything that we need to make sure that it's a first-class experience.
As far as the hydro upgrades, are you...
I didn't think there were bugs in the desert.
Are you kind of fenced in as far as the amount of space you have to do all of the upgrades that you would like to do? Like, John was talking about like a full-length pool and things like that. It doesn't seem like you have enough space in your current
I'm
facility.
sure we can find space, but we're always looking at potential spaces going forward to see if we can enhance and have a better facility. It's funny, just the pool. I remember Ferg, when he was here, like no one used the pool at that time. So like we had to get rid of the pool, and now people want to use a pool. I just think it's whatever you don't have, you want, and it's just always going to change. It's always going to evolve. So we'll make sure that there's enough space to have all the things that we need to make sure our players are successful.
Last year, there was such a big upheaval with the roster just based on some of the things that happened. How did you kind of view the steps you guys took last season, and how did that kind of maybe set you up for what you did this offseason?
Look, I think last year we tried to assess where we wanted to spend money, and we chose mainly to spend it on our own guys. And, you know, when you're locking up your quarterback, you know, 2 Hall of Fame players in Fred and George, like that's where we chose to spend our money, right? Like, didn't want to lose Dre last year. Love Dre. Super excited that he's back. And that's how this league works, right? I don't know that the folks that we signed in free agency, I just texted with Mike Evans. I haven't gotten to meet him in person yet. Somebody that I've known and respected for a long, not known, but I've respected his game for a long time. The guy wants to be here, and he wants to be a part of a team that can go compete for and win a championship. Like, that's what we're looking for. And you have to be willing to be flexible in who you're going to sign, how you're going to sign them, and when you're going to do it. And we're always going to be open. We want to be nimble enough to be able to make those decisions. And I think we added some good guys this year. And part of that is, you know, what you spent last year. It all sort of ties together when you're spending money, how you're spending money, and you just have to be smart about that. And I think we've taken a good approach.
Now that you know that Christian Kirk has been signed,
he has.
Along with
yeah,
Mike
I'm
Evans.
very excited about Christian Kirk.
How do you feel about the free agent signings that were made?
I feel great. I mean, I think they're guys that they want to compete. They're here for the right reasons. That's always one of the things in free agency. You don't know what you're always going to get. And when you look at those guys who could have potentially gone other places for more money, they wanted to be here, they wanted to be in this system, they wanted to be with this team, and they want to compete for a Super Bowl. That's, again, like that's all you can ask for when you're signing free agents, and making sure that you can continue to enhance, I think, a great locker room that we have by guys that have done it in different places, and guys are going to bring that intensity and help build and grow what we already have here.
Jed, when you say, you weren't aware you guys had Christian Kirk until a little bit after that transaction was made, I think some people feel like, well, you're the owner, shouldn't you know? I mean,
I probably should.
But I guess, are you like when you talk about your trust in Kyle and John, are you less involved in the day-to-day minutia with the team, and is that like healthy for you, or is that just how it's evolved?
I mean, I think it's more how it's evolved with this group of people, right? Like, I have immense trust and faith in those guys. And, you know, when you look at what we signed Christian for, right, it's not a huge number, right? If we're going to go spend a massive amount of money in free agency, like, obviously we're going to talk about that. Like, I had a good sense of what we were looking at in free agency, but you never know how that's going to work out. Like, you never know, is the guy that you're targeting, does he want to come to you? Is he going to stay with his own club? Is he going to go somewhere else? So you have to make sure that I don't hamstring those guys and say, well, you need to call me and make sure that I approve. Like, I've already approved what the budget is, right? Like, I pay you guys enough money. Go do your job and go do it well. And I trust you to do it well.
Did you?
Tracy keeps trying to ask. Come on, guys.
Somewhat piggybacking on Branch's question, is you've been doing this for a while. Is that something that's evolved with you? Yes, with this particular group, but for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always evolve, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, when I look at Al becoming the CEO, he's done a phenomenal job here, right? I love the work that he's done. You know, Brent Shobe stepping up. We have a lot of great people that are in this organization on the business side, on the football side. And when you have a trust in the group of people that it's here, it allows you to operate and execute more efficiently and more smoothly. We do a lot of other things. Obviously, we're involved with Leeds, we're involved with Rangers, we're involved with multiple clubs and multiple different things around the world. I can't spend 100% of my time on the 49ers, but what I try to do is make sure that the culture is what I want it to be at the San Francisco 49ers, and then you have the right people that can execute on that vision.
You got Kyle going into his 10th year, which is a pretty big mile marker for as long as Bill Walsh did. What is your status about just like his long-term future more? Like, do you need to sign him to another extension soon? He said today he was not ready to leave for flag football or television.
I think he'd be great on television. He would hate that so much. I couldn't imagine him doing television. But I thought he did great on the Super Bowl. I think he did a really good job. I think Kyle's got 3 years left. I mean, I want Kyle to be here for a long time. He's been here for a long time. I want him to be here even longer. JL, I think he's got, I think it's this year and next, but I don't know off the top of my head. Like, I want JL to be here for a long time, but it's really, what do those guys want to do, right? When you sit down and have conversations after 10 years, like where do you want to be? What is your life like, and how do you see it? And do you want to re-up to be a part of the 49ers? Do you want to do something else in our organization in a different place? I don't know the answer, but I have a great relationship with both those guys, and I hope they're here and they're with me and the 49ers and our family for a very long time.
Where do things stand with Trent in your eyes? Yesterday, John said he feels like he's on the verge of some good.
Trent Williams?
Yes.
I mean, I haven't talked to Trent. I just hear from Kyle and John that conversations are good. Like, I love Trent. I hope he's here. You know, would love to get him back. I think he's a wonderful football player. He's done a great job for us. And again, like, I have trust and faith in John and Kyle that they'll figure it out. They'll get it done.
Jed, this is a serious question. Like, when the whole thing came up with the independent scientists and the lab grade equipment, was that something that had to be elevated to your level to bring that guy in?
It did not have to be elevated to my level, but we talked about it. I looked at it. I think John answered that pretty appropriately yesterday. I mean, we've been there since 87, 88. It wasn't something that in my gut I was super worried about. I'm glad that whatever special testing was done affirmed that. But again, like, we want to make sure that our players are healthy and safe. We want to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that they feel that.
How much has your day-to-day changed with the investments in Europe with Rangers and Leeds?
I mean, it just depends. Like, day-to-day isn't all that different. It's a little bit more travel schedule, things like that. But day-to-day is relatively normal. And I mean, it's so easy to do work. Like, I mean, watching us, like, you guys are doing press conferences with cell phones, right? Technology just makes your life so much easier. So whether you're on Zoom, airplanes work pretty well, right? Like, I'm in a lot of different places, spending probably more time in New York, just in and around the league office now, spending a lot of time in Ohio, just, you know, being around parents and doing some things at the DeBartolo Corporation level, you know, now being the CEO of the DeBartolo Corporation. There's a lot more of those things that are on my plate, but I don't know that my day-to-day has changed all that much.
John Schneider was talking about the new tax in Washington, the millionaire tax, and obviously California is way up there. I'm just curious, over the years, how much has that affected efforts to sign guys? Like, how much does state income tax come up, things like that?
I mean, it'll come up, but I think it comes up more as an excuse from an agent, because I'm blanking on the guy that one of the players, a defensive lineman, I think they went to Tennessee. But he had a connection to Sala. Yeah,
Franklin Myers. Yeah.
I knew the JFM. But I mean, like, that comes up after the fact. But he has a connection with Sala. Like, I don't believe that that's really what made the decision, right? You know, Mike Evans came here from a zero tax state, right? Like, I don't think that that's a major issue. It's really about what is the organization that you have. What can you show people? This is what it's like when you're here. And then when you show people the alumni that we have, you know, what does your life look like after you play in the National Football League if you're a part of the San Francisco 49ers versus a part of another club? And I think we offer a great opportunity for our guys to be a part of a community for the rest of their lives that I think is unmatched in the National Football League.
Take a few more guys.
Eddie, at the Rise of the 49ers premiere, was asked, like, how frustrating would it be if you're an owner who went 31 years without the Super Bowl? And he said, I wouldn't. Like, that would never happen to him. Does that sound like Eddie? And do you
I mean, it's 100% Eddie. Somebody asked me that. They're like, you know, do you take that as a slight? I'm like, he didn't think about me in any way, shape, or form when he answered that question. Like, that's just who he is. And I mean, if you know him, like, you just know the will that he has to win. And, you know, obviously the NFL was a little bit different place when he was running the San Francisco 49ers. But he would always find a way to make sure that he was successful and that he was competing. Always.
To piggyback off that, is there a level of frustration with the organization that you haven't been able to add to that trophy case?
There's always frustration for that, right? But, like, whether we won 30 of the last 30, like, we're still searching for the next one. And I mean, I think the way that you go about doing your job, you can't just look at the result and say I did well or I didn't do well, right? Like I mean, I just got the book for Jax, The Score Takes Care of Itself. And I think it's just such a wonderful book about how you prepare, and like the art of it is how you prepare and what you do, right? And the score will take care of itself. And we've been around the hoop enough. We haven't gotten it in, but we're going to get it in. And I know the way that we prepare, like we're going to win.
The substation notwithstanding, your team has gotten a lot of injuries last year, of course, and in previous years. From your standpoint, I mean, how do you reconcile it in your head about just how injured this team's been in the last decade?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year, depending on what numbers you look at, I think we were like the 19th most injured team in the league, right? So it's about middle of the pack, right? You don't ever want to see injuries. You don't want to see that stuff happen. But those are things that you have to be able to deal with. And again, that's part of why we want to invest in our training facility. We want to make sure that we have a better group of people. We added more people to the training staff. And it's frustrating to lose a game. It's frustrating to lose a player, but you can't let that deter you from what your ultimate goal is, right? And you look at our team last year, how many people midway through the season would have predicted that we were going to have 12 wins last year? We're going to go on the road and win a playoff game against a really good football team. I don't think many people would have, but that's what our team is about. Like that's the grit that we have. And that's why you want to make sure when you're adding people to this club, you're adding people that understand that, and that we are going to be able to take whatever obstacles are thrown our way, and we're going to try to overcome them.
We touched.
Do you enjoy the draft process?
How much do I enjoy the draft process? More than Ann Killian, less than probably most of our fans. I don't spend a lot of time watching film. Like the only guy that I ever wanted us to draft was Arnaz Battle. I went to school with Arnaz, knew him as a guy. I try to stay as far away from that as possible. When we hired our manager at Leeds, he asked a question. He's like, well, you're American football. Like, what do you know about soccer? I said, I probably know more about American football than 99% of people in the world. And it's not enough to make the decisions that you need to make, right? I don't know anything about your football. So I'm not going to try to make your decisions. I want to make sure that we have the right structures in place and the right process in place. I love being able to get to know some of the players, like when they're coming in on visits, and being able to get to know the stories, and just knowing like how are we fitting in, and how are the pieces working, and watching how John and Kyle work together, watching how the coaching staff and the scouting staff work together. Like that's always great. But like, are you telling me that in the 5th round you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, like we're going to draft George Kittle and he's going to be one of the best tight ends in the history of the National Football League? You don't know. Like it's a crapshoot. So when people talk about draft grades on the day, like you have no freaking clue what your draft grade really is until 2 or 3 years later. I just love watching the process of how people come and get together. And it's always fun to see kids realize their dreams, realize all the hard work that they put into it. They get to see it come to fruition. And that's what's really cool about it. I just don't get overhyped about Mel Kiper's draft grades. Like it's not going to make a difference.
Both John and Kyle talked about Brandon Aiyuk and the frustration and trying to get him back into the fold. Where is your stance on what happened there?
I don't know. I mean, he got hurt after he got paid, and I hope he gets back healthy. Right? I think Bill Parcells said this, and I talked to JL and Kyle about this. Like, our job is to build a culture, and our job is to make sure that we bring talent into the building. Like, BA is a very talented guy. Would love to be able to bring him back into the fold, and if not, I think he's a valuable asset that other people would want, and we're going to make sure that we get value and we bring talent into our building.
Do you think there's a possibility where he stays?
Like, last question, like, what didn't you get?
Yeah, you can use the curve.
Well, you said something so intriguing.
It was super intriguing. I'm a very intriguing guy.
But, I mean, you seem to open the door for at least a possibility of him actually staying with the team. Is that possible?
I mean, I think anything's possible, right? We want to make sure that we have as talented of a roster as possible. First and foremost, he needs to get healthy and be able to perform. I think once that happens, he's a really, really good football player.
Is he healthy right now?
I haven't seen him. I have no idea.
Appreciate it, guys.
Just say it helps your trade leverage, saying that you want to keep him.
I don't think it helps your trade leverage. It's just he's a good football player. Like we paid him. I think we've paid him more millions of dollars in snaps that he's had, right? Like I would like to see him play for us. Like we paid him for a reason. Like I think he's a really good football player. And when you look at the group of people that is there, right, especially adding guys like Mike and Christian who are legit veteran people, right? That's a room that can absorb somebody that has had a tough go with our franchise for the last year or so. So again, like I think we're making sure that that room is what it needs to be. And if BA is a part of that room, like we're going to be more talented, and I have no problem with that. I hope he's doing well personally, and I hope I get to see him soon. Thanks, guys.